All right, welcome back. Let's quickly chat about the BPP guidelines on public procurements by MDAs as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, like I said at the beginning. Joining me to my immediate right is Joshua Olufemi, the founder at Dataphyte. Hello, Joshua. EBE Jonathan is to my far right. Welcome, Jonathan, to the program.
Thank you.
Now, let's dig deep into this. I just hope Nigerians even know that this has been released by BPP in terms of what the MDAs are supposed to, adhere to in public procurement activities as a result of what COVID-19 pandemic has, that we're facing right now. Jonathan, let me come to you. Just talk to us about perhaps what Nokopo and his utility is doing, and perhaps are MDAs starting to adhere to this directive.
Okay, thank you very much. Nokopo is a Nigerian open contracting portal, and the Nokopo is all about publishing, making public procurement in Nigeria accessible and available to the public, and this should be carried out by disclosing information on the public procurement activities by MDAs. MDAs are expected to disclose, and the goal of this is to ensure that there's transparency and accountability in the procurement process, and the information is meant to be available to all stakeholders. By stakeholders, I mean citizens, you and I, private sector, civil society organizations. Now, just a little background. Prior to the development of this portal, the Nigerian government had adopted to the open contracting data standards sometime in 2016, and that was part of the commitment of the National Action Plan of the OGP, that's the Open Government Partnership. So making public procurement available to the public is a strong commitment which Nigeria has adopted to. So now the ministries, departments, and agencies are expected to publish, they are mandated to publish their public procurement information on the portal.
The question is now, have they started adhering to that directive?
Now, as at the last, most recent analysis that we carried out sometime in the second week of May this year, adherence has been, I would say, adherence has been quite low, because we have over 450 MDAs in Nigeria, and as at that time we carried out the analysis, only 16 MDAs were publishing as at that time.
As at the second week of May, you said?
Yes,
okay.
Only 16 MDAs. And now going into the guidelines that was issued by the BPP, an interesting part of the guideline is where transparency and accountability is also a key focus in that guideline. It ensures that MDAs that are carrying out procurement in this COVID-19 response, it ensures that they carry it out transparently by publishing their procurement plans on the Nokopo portal, and for BPP, for the Bureau of Public Procurement to assess and release their funds to them. But as of today, on the COVID-19 data that that the Bureau for Public Procurement published on the Nokopo portal, just about 4 MDAs have published their information. So in terms of adherence, I would say that it's quite low, but it's still, I feel MDAs should do more to publish their information.
Okay, let me come to Joshua. Are there any revelations from the data on COVID-19 being released by the MDAs? Because just like we were saying before the break, the last time I checked, I saw about 1.4 trillion. Now, that was like how many days ago? So when did I even check? So what's the situation right now? Perhaps any revelations as a result of that data being released?
Yeah, thank you. So a couple of, I'll say, insights, of course, and revelation based on the data that we have. Like Jonathan said, you have just 4 agencies of government that have so far, published their data. That's the NCDC itself. You have the Ministry of Environment. You have NSCDC, which is the under the Ministry of Interior, and you also have the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, NPHCDA. Those are the 4 that are published among what you would expect from about 50 MDAs so far. In terms of the total amount that has been that you have in the data set that's been released, as at this morning, as at yesterday night, yes, it was 1.45 billion. Today it's 1.845 billion that you have across all the 4. What we've done, what we've seen preliminary is that a number of these contractors don't have their information on the database of the Bureau of Public Procurement. And that is essential to the guideline that the Bureau released. That not only do you provide your procurement plan, you also ensure that everyone that you engage for your emergency procurement should also be registered and compliant with government regulations to be contractors or federal government contractors. A number of them, as at the last check, we've seen that out of the 63 contractors or projects that have been procured, about 20 of them are not on the database of the Bureau of Public Procurement, and that's the first red flag. It could be a database error, but we think that it also be the hurriedness, that quick, response to quickly engage contractors to get you what you want. The other thing we've also noticed is that there are some things that seem ambiguous in the figures that you have. Agencies buying, hand sanitizers for over 40 million naira. Buying face masks for over 48 million naira.
How much a unit is it going for?
And you're wondering, are you buying for the entire state or you're buying for just an agency? That's one thing. And more pressing, you would imagine that among all of these procurement, that important things, aside supplies, were done. But you were seeing jeeps being procured, maybe for field work, fine. But we weren't getting anything as much as Nigeria wanted in ventilators. I think we only had roughly about 20 million going to beds. And that's all. Every other thing was just hand sanitizers, virucides, and all of that. And that's already, it's a flag. Because how do you even, track the, something that is just an essential utility? It's being used. That's what you get. So even at the point of monitoring for Bureau of Public Procurement, you don't get all of these things in place. So that's essentially what we've noticed. Apart from the fact that the contractors, some of them are not compliant, some of them are not even on the CAC, the database of companies. You also see that there are ambiguous amounts being released by.
Now, with this, that shows the critical role, perhaps, which civil societies need to play, and it shouldn't be downplayed, especially at this critical time. Just like you said, are there specific techniques, perhaps, applied to cater for citizens that need simplified data on this? Jonathan, let me take you on that, and you may just want to just comment a bit if you quickly, Jonathan.
Okay, so the Public and Private Development Center has a dedicated web platform called Budeshi. Budeshi means open it in Hausa. So the platform houses procurement information that we source through the Freedom of Information requests that we make to ministries, departments, and agencies. So what the platform does is it links budget information, budget and procurement information to public services. So citizens have the access. The platform is available to the citizens. Citizens can access and do their comparisons, get their data on projects that are being carried out across the country in their localities. They can as well use the data sets to monitor projects, to know the implementation status of these projects. And we also try to simplify these data sets by breaking them down into infographics.
Okay.
We do a lot of that on our social media handles, just to break down the data sets for our audience to be able to understand.
Okay.
So likewise, what we do, of course, in partnership with PPDC at Dataphyte, is to liberate the data from whichever format that you have it. If everyone goes to the website now, it's very difficult for you to even just download the data or make sense out of it. So we try to first bring it out and make it accessible. The other thing we do is also to put it in the hands of accountability agents, such as the media.
I was coming to that, that how can perhaps PPDC and Dataphyte support journalists and CSOs?
Right. So
someone like me, for example, that deals with data on a daily basis.
Right. So one of the things that we planned to do was the coming Friday, to have a training for 6 investigative journalism newsroom across the country, including Premium Times, the Cable, ICIR, Business Day, Daily Trust. Of course, we would include you, on the go, but it's a rolling thing.
Okay.
But just to empower them with this data, and also take the data that you have on the Open Treasury portal and then arm them with this. You have trillions of naira on the Open Treasury portal about procurement that has been done by various MDAs. That's where you even have massive amount of data. So one thing we do is to put it in the hands of journalists, also put it in the hands of citizens who are able to take it on, and of course civil society organizations that are also taking advantage of data for their own monitoring and tracking, such as connected development and the likes.
I want you to be able to take a look at the importance of this as in fighting corruption and perhaps engendering accountability and transparency.
I think that's where I will commend the Bureau of Public Procurement, for coming up with this guideline. Because earlier on, what we expected was that the Open Treasury portal was going to be the go-to place to get the payment. But coming up with this guideline, not only has it forced, permit me for using that word, MDAs to declare what they are spending money on, and we're already seeing the revelation. Now, if you take that data in the hands of journalists, in the hands of civil society who are able to flag loopholes, red flag and corruption, that is initial, what they will call, material, for anti-corruption agencies, like the EFCC, the ICPC, which is a collaboration that has been done before in the past, where, civil society tracking project handed over that report to the ICPC, and ICPC went on to use that for its prosecution and also to, retrieve some of the things that were kept in the hands of politicians and politically exposed persons. So it's a great tool in the hands of anti-corruption agencies themselves. They can take advantage of it, but I also think they can partner with civil society, and data, organizations like ours to help them simplify and point them in the direction of where the problem is with the data.
So you've actually said it's good enough to engender transparency, and you've also told us how journalists and CSOs can take advantage of it. Jonathan, let me quickly come to you. The question is, how can the organization be reached? Perhaps for even some of my colleagues watching, or you understand what I mean, the PPDC, that's the Public and Private Development Center.
Yes, you can reach us via our email at ppdc@procurementmonitor.org. And then we also have a toll-free line, 0800 Budeshi.
Okay.
And then our official phone number is 0706 66 18896. And then our Twitter handle, you can also reach us via PP Monitor NG.
PP
Monitor NG. NG in all caps.
Okay. Yeah. I hope you enabled your DM in the Twitter handle so that for people that want to, they can.
Yeah, so just to add a bit to the Bureau of Public Procurement, they are doing a great job. They are currently partnering with civil society organizations to get our inputs, because they are currently upgrading their portal to be able to suit the needs of the public. So they're partnering with us, and we're also conducting a survey to know the user experience of citizens that visit the site. So I also encourage ministries, departments, and agencies to do their best to publish their procurement information to the public, as that is the only way that they can build trust between the citizens and what the government is doing in terms of procurement. So I think they should do more to publish their procurement data on Nukopo.
Okay. Any final words from you, Joshua?
Yeah, I think the final word is to encourage civil society, media, and citizens to take advantage of this data, and also to encourage anti-corruption agencies to say you have good material to work with right there, and to continue to speak to government that every effort at transparency and accountability, it's towards development. It's ways that investors can always come in, especially at critical times such as this in our country. And of course, the transparency and accountability technology groups also should take advantage of this to support the Bureau and every other government agency that is interested. And also, like final word, that data is essential to everything that we do in the country.
What you can't measure, you can't manage.
Yes, thank you. What you can't measure, you can't manage. And what you can't assess, you can't even predict. You can't even, you can't determine tomorrow. And at every point in time, government, brings out this data. It helps only not to just criticize them, but also to give them insight and intelligence on the way forward.
How about you, Jonathan? Any final word?
Not leaving the citizens out of it. Citizens should live up to the expectations of holding the government accountable. Yeah, they should go out to ask questions. They should make sure they ask questions because they have access to these answers. It is their right. It is right of the citizens to know what is happening in terms of public procurement because it affects them directly. They can leverage on the Freedom of Information Act, send out FOI requests to MDAs just to get information. They can also visit portals, visit Nukopo, visit Budeshi to get information on public procurement.
Okay. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming on the program. Thank you for giving us this insight on what the BPP is doing and the PPDC. Public and Private Development Center. You've heard it from Jonathan, so you can go look for them on Twitter, isn't it? At PPP Monitor.
PP Monitor.
PP
NG.
Monitor. Yes, yeah. PP Monitor NG. All right, I've been speaking with EBE Jonathan, a data analyst, and Joshua Olufemi, founder, Dataphyte, representatives from the Public and Private Development Center. We've been looking at the BPP guidelines on public procurement activities by MDAs as a result of this COVID-19 pandemic. The IMF chief said, in anything we're doing and we're spending, please keep the receipts. This is part of keeping the receipt. All right. That's the much we can take on today's edition of the program. Thank you for investing your time with us. I hope it was worthwhile for you. If it wasn't, please give us another chance tomorrow and the days after. I am Nnaji. I'm handing you over to Oyedia in the news studio. Hello, Oyedia. Take it away on AIT Reports.
Thank you very much, Nancy. I must say you look beautiful this morning.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for joining.